The last few weeks have been a test of leadership for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. And unfortunately for Americans, they have failed with flying colors. 2 years after all of the George Floyd political theatrics and political violence, the Democrats' response to Uvalde has proven that they believe some lives matter more than others. In the wake of the massacre in Texas, the American people were watching to see if Democrats would give Republicans political space to compromise on some sort of measured legislation. They haven't. Americans were watching to see if President Biden would sound a unifying tone. He hasn't. They were watching to see if Democrats were ready to view gun violence through the larger lens that it deserves, and they haven't. The best that they could muster was Matthew McConaughey this week. What Americans got was unrealistic legislation, deliberate efforts to use the deaths of 19 children as a wedge issue for the November elections, hyperpartisan attacks, and perhaps most disgraceful, the continued disregard for the lives lost to urban violence. Since Uvalde, literally dozens and dozens of people have been shot in America's cities. From what I can tell, the dead range in age from 3 to 73. Nearly all of the victims, black or lower income or minority. No national address from the White House, no presidential visit, no photo op with local officials and families, no collages of victim photos on national newscasts, no grand plans to create enhanced gang units in cities dealing with spikes in violent crime, no press conferences demanding new policing practices to get illegal guns off our streets and confiscate the weapons killing literally thousands of young blacks and Latinos every single year. Congressional Democrats, well, they were far too busy working with former ABC News President James Goldston to produce the January 6 hearings for primetime television and keep the nation's attention on Donald Trump, 18 months after he left office. For Biden, who's been in Washington for 50 years, the lack of focus on the larger violence problem must be intentional. A tweet on June 6th mentioned 6 school shootings that have taken place in the last 20 years, where most of the victims happen to be white. After last weekend's violence that I mentioned in America's cities, not one social post from the president calling for action in urban environments. More than half of all the firearm deaths in 2019 were black males, despite only being 6.4% of the U.S. population. Shining a light on urban violence would mean highlighting crimes committed largely by minority gangs and lower income who were supposed to be elevated by the Great Society. Well, of course, that can't happen, right? Genuine outrage risks further revelations about failed policing, immigration, and welfare policies of the left. That can't happen either. Talk about the 70% of black children born to fatherless households? God forbid. So, if a deranged kid shoots up a supermarket or a school, it's worth days of wall-to-wall news coverage. Democrats spring into action, they whip up their base, and they demand comprehensive legislative solutions. But if a few black teens in Chicago get gunned down, the higher echelons of the Democratic Party scarcely seem to care. Lori Lightfoot would rather talk about protecting abortion rights than fighting crime. Democrats have been exposed for treating blacks and Latinos as expendable. They don't want them protected and advanced. They want to keep them dependent, angry, and imperiled. One chilling theory as to why that's becoming increasingly plausible is that today's Democratic Party, with its bulging socialist veins and arteries pumped with the venom of perpetually outraged intellectual elites, must view those dying daily on the streets of our cities, the cities that they run, as somehow less than human. This would follow the pattern of fascist, socialist, and communist ideologies that historically hold the view that only certain people matter. The rest are simply a means to an end. If it means a state like California can leverage persistent violence and poverty to justify a reparations agenda, then so be it. If a city like Chicago or New York can feign outrage over gang killings to drive a message of white supremacy and black victimhood, then so be it. Democrats tighten their grip, government gets bigger, and Eric Adams gets to go to the Met Gala again next year. Everyone else, for that matter, can go buy an electric car, perhaps. With an ascendant far left backed up by big media, big tech, and an insatiable bureaucracy, this mentality will get more pervasive unless Americans stand together against it. For America to recapture its greatness, all lives must truly matter. But Democrats would rather focus on made-for-TV January 6th hearings. The deaths of Black and Latino Americans should be afforded the same level of outrage, grief, and calls to action as the children of Uvalde. It couldn't be clearer now that Joe Biden disagrees.